Do you know there are people who lose deals from the first question the prospect asks? It's possible to lose a sale just from the first question the prospect asks. So what do you do so that when the prospect asks you this question, you're able to not lose the business, but you can close the sale? And that's why today we're going to look at how do you handle this situation when a client says, how much is it? It's pretty much talking about how to convert inquiries to sales. My name is Yuri Ogigwe. Happy to see you again today. I'm sales training consultant. I've trained over 23,000 salespeople across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I worked in an organization where I was top selling salesperson. I grew a portfolio of $3.5 million to over $7 million in just 11 months. I was able to bring 21 HNIs to my organization in a single month. I participated in a sales competition and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense-paid trip by my organization. So we have a sales methodology we've been using to train a lot of organizations and individuals. And I'm going to show you one of them right now. And it's how to move from inquiries to sales. I remember we met an organization in our country here, Nigeria. I don't know if, I'm sure they're still around, called Jobberman. At that time, they had a lot of telesales people, and these telesales people were trying to increase their conversion rates. They are plateaued on a particular amount every month. The amount remained the same every month. So we met the MD. The MD told us that he wanted us to help him increase this amount. Now we're able to increase this amount by about 25%, right? We increased the amount, and which of course brought about an increased revenue. Of course, based on the fact that we're consultants, there were some other things that we observed were hindering the growth because it could have been more, which we were able to address in terms of restructuring the team, changing some individuals in the team, which I believe helps to move them to a whole new level. But I want to talk to you about some of the concepts we use to help them move by 25%. Now, imagine if your sales grew by 25% or your business grew by 25%. That would be significant growth, right? The first thing you need to understand is this: price mentioned before value has been understood is a sale lost. The moment you mention your price before the prospect has understood the value you're trying to offer, the sale is gone. Now, I didn't say price mentioned before value has been communicated, because you see, you can communicate value. The question is, was value understood? Was the value understood? The moment you mention your price, the prospect doesn't have any basis upon which to place the price. You see, price requires a foundation. Price requires a foundation. And most times, the foundation upon which price is required is value. So the stronger the value, the deeper the value, the higher the price. Think of a building. The deeper the foundation, the higher the skyscraper will be. The smaller the foundation, the smaller the building will be. So the deeper the value, the higher the price will be, the higher the price it can be. Now think about it. Imagine if you gave a high price, but there was no foundation. The building will fall. If you gave a low price and there was no foundation, the building will still fall. High price, small foundation, high price, small value, or tall skyscraper, small foundation, building will fall. So you must make sure that the price and the value, there must be a balance. And not balance in terms of being equal, but in the prospect's mind, he must believe that he's underpaying. He must believe that the value is far more than the price. How do you control this narrative such that the prospect can believe that the value is far more than the price? Focus on the foundation. Focus on the value. Spend time talking about the value long before you communicate the price. You must walk through the corridor of value till you get to the door of pricing. This means that value communication most times is a slow process, and it can take some time before you move from the beginning all the way to the end before you can communicate the price. Now, somebody says, Yuri, but it's easier said than done. How do you do it when the client is saying, how much is it? Just tell me. I want to know the price. And that's why you need to understand that there are 2 types of enquirers. There's the one who wants to just window shop. He or she is probably already looking at somebody else. They've already gotten some quotes or some information from some other vendors, and they're trying to match and to see which is the cheapest or which one should they go for. Because the person is window shopping, you have to know how to manage these people carefully. If you just go ahead and mention your price, there will be no need for any further conversation. The other type of enquirer is the person who he or she has a budget for something. Their budget seems to be fixed, but they're trying to make a decision on who to go for. They don't even have an idea of what it is in the market. And this is for most people when it comes to making enquiries. And that's why you want to make sure that price is always done last. In both cases, whether it's window shopping, whether the person has a budget but is trying to make a decision, price must be mentioned last. Now, when the person is so insistent on price, tell me, I just want to know the price, I just want to know the price. That person may be a window shopper. And one of the best things you can do, somebody says, but you will not be a window shopper, you may be a genuine customer, no problem. Whether it's a window shopper or a genuine customer, no problem. But the point is that once the person says, how much is it, and is insisting, he doesn't want you to move on in the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, don't mention the price. Because the more people know your price and have not done business with you, the weaker your brand will be in the marketplace. So let me walk you through what you need to do right now. First thing I said, understand the principle that price mentioned before value has been understood is a sale lost. Second thing is that, remember, salespeople answer questions with questions. The role of a salesperson is not to go into a sales meeting and start answering questions from the prospect. Somebody says, but Yuri, what if the prospect is asking me questions? That's why you need to begin the conversation the right way. You need to lead the conversation from the beginning. If you go in for a meeting with the prospect, okay, let me go on this way. If you go in for a meeting with the prospect and the prospect says, yes, how can I help you? Where are you coming from? Tell me about yourself. That's the wrong way to start a meeting. You should be the one asking the questions. So the prospect says, how can I help you? Where are you coming from? Oh, yes, sir, my name is Yuri Ogwigwe. Before I go on, mention my company. Before I go on, I'd like to ask you a few questions, sir, like we normally would do with most of our clients. Hope you don't mind. Can I go ahead, sir? All right, you say go ahead. Then you start asking your questions. You take charge of the conversation as fast as possible. So when it comes to making enquiries, if the person sends you a DM, for example, or sends you a message on WhatsApp, and the person says, oh, I've seen your ad, I'm interested in making this purchase, I like this. Ladies and gentlemen, as much as you can, take the conversation offline. So what do? Ask the person for their phone number, then give them a call. Don't try to respond to the question of how much is it on the chat on WhatsApp, then you just mention the price and you're wondering why the person is not buying, the person is not responding to you. I did some work for a company, they're a paper packaging company, and I remember what's so funny, they used to get about 200 DMs, I think it was daily or weekly, 200 DMs. And after that 200, maybe they're closing like maybe 5 or 10. And one of the problems was, every time people made enquiries, all they did was they responded and gave the price, and the people just went away. Why? Because the price was mentioned, but there was no context. There was no foundation upon which the price could stand, which is value. The foundation is value upon which the building could stand. Now, even if it's a phone call that comes in, this takes me back to my point, where I said salespeople answer questions with questions. It was a phone call that comes in, right? When the person calls and the person says, hello, good afternoon, I saw your ad concerning, so how much is it? Respond with the question. How many would you like? How much is it? When would you like to start? How much is it? What size are you looking at? How much is it? How many units would you want to get? How much is it? Respond with the question. So for example, I can imagine if somebody says, maybe you ask, how much is it? And you ask, how many units do you have in mind? And the person says, well, it depends on the number of units, it depends on how much it is. Okay, sir, hope you don't mind. First of all, I'd like to ask you a few questions normally like to ask our clients. It'll be very brief. Can I walk you through quickly? He will say, I don't have time. I'm actually in a hurry. Oh, okay, that's the case, sir. Can I give you a call back probably in an hour? Or can I give you a call back in 2 hours? See. I just want to know the price. Just tell me the price. Don't worry. I would make up my mind. Oh, sir, normally when we have calls like this, we normally would love to communicate the price, but we will need your information first before we can do that. Hope you don't mind, sir. Can I just go ahead? It won't take long. I'll be brief. Just ask a few questions. Insist, but be polite. Keep going back to getting the information. Keep going back to the value communication. If, nevertheless, the prospect is still insisting, you also be polite and insist. It is better the person cuts the call and leaves the conversation than for you to go ahead and mention the price. Because what are the chances? Okay, think about it. You've been doing sales for a while, right? Before now, whenever you've experienced these customers and you've mentioned the price, did they buy? Think about it. Did they buy? When you met that customer who was insisting and said, just tell me the price, I just want to know, has he paid already? Even if he has already paid, how many of them have paid like that? How many? Not many. Not many. So when you get on the phone with the prospects, you want to make sure that you have what we call a data collection system. Remember, always ask for permission to ask questions like I've shown you. Ask for permission, then start to ask questions. Oh, where are you calling from? You want to find out maybe the company, or you want to find out the location, depending on what kind of thing you sell. Is this the best number we can reach you on? For example, just in case, because I've seen cases where somebody calls, make an inquiry, and the number the person is using is a landline, and the moment the line goes off, you can't even call the person back. So you want to confirm, this is the best number we can reach you on. If not, then you want to get an alternative number. You want to write it down. Okay, what location will be best for a meeting if a meeting is required after this conversation? These are the three important questions. What location will be best for a meeting if a meeting is required after this conversation? Just in case you've engaged this prospect and you realize that you're talking to a celebrity or a high net worth individual or a very important individual in our society economically. So you don't want to lose the prospect. You want to make sure that even if the line goes off for any reason, you want to be able to pick it up from there. Even if for any reason you called the number he gave you and was switched off, at least he gave you an idea of the location best for a meeting. And hopefully you got enough information which was going to be the right information. And that's what takes you to my next point. Next point, you want to watch your tone of voice carefully. Watch your tone of voice carefully. So I've said number one, price mentioned before value has been understood is a sale loss. You want to convert inquiries to sales. Understand this principle. Number two, salespeople answer questions with questions. You want to take charge of the conversation, and I've shown you how. Number three, I said have a data collection system. Whether it's a notepad, whether it's on your tablet, whatever it is that you're going to use, so that when the inquiry comes, you have your way to collect this information. Number four, I said you want to watch your tone. Watch your tone in the sense that you want to control the narrative of the conversation. You want to control how the prospect feels. Because you see, if people feel good after talking to us, they would want to meet with us if we have to follow up. They will want to pick our calls if we have to call them back. So you don't want to sound like they are disturbing you. You don't want to sound like you're not in a good mood. You want to make sure that your feelings and your emotions are in order. A lot of people are going through a lot. People have challenges. And think about the fact that whenever someone's making an inquiry to make a purchase, the person is trying to make a purchase to solve a problem. He's not doing it just because he feels like doing it. There's something he was trying to solve. And if you look at the ripple effect of solving that problem, it could be a life or death situation. So if you look at sales like helping people, imagine if you're working in the emergency units of a hospital and you were always attending to people who were coming every time. Oh, somebody was shot, you're rushing the person in. Somebody fainted, rushing the person in. Somebody's about to give birth to a child, you're rushing the person in. You're seeing these things every day. You can't see somebody who has been hurt or who has a broken leg, and you're rushing the person, and you say you're not in a good mood, but you're not being empathetic. You're not even saying things like, "Oh wow, I hope you're okay. Don't worry, you're going to be fine." Why did the doctors do that? Because they genuinely are concerned about the patient. They want the patient to recover quickly and be in a good position. In the same way too, as a salesperson, like a doctor. The only issue is that we don't see the problems our prospects have. We don't really see them immediately. But if we look deeply, you'll find out that those problems are critical. So I want that to be your mentality so that it will affect your tone of voice. Because you see, your intention when you sell. Now, if you notice that my tone of voice at the beginning of the conversation is already changing, right? Because of the way, the kind of scenarios I'm giving and the descriptions I'm giving. Just to show you that, you see, your tone of voice can always change. So your intention affects your tone of voice. My intention is to make the prospect feel loved, let the person feel respected, let the person feel appreciated. That's my intention. And let that be your guide so that it affects your tone of voice when you're communicating. All right? So, and part of what even helps your tone is that you want to also have a script, right? Have a script that will guide your conversation. And this script will have the kind of questions you're going to ask. Now, imagine after collecting all the data you require, you want to ask questions to understand what their needs are. Oh, can you tell me what exactly you would need and what you would want to use this for? depending on what you sell, right? So you want to put it in context. If it's a house, if it's real estate, for example, you're looking at, okay, can you tell me what's the objective of this purchase? Is it for investment purposes or is it for residential purposes? If it's for investment purposes, you'll be going in a different direction. If it's for residential, you'll be going in a different direction. So you just want to make sure that you have your questions drafted out and ask questions. And the whole idea of asking questions, ladies and gentlemen, is one thing. You're looking for the need. You're looking for the need. Yesterday, I talked about how when I wanted to get married, how I was going to look out for my wedding ring and how questions were used to help me make a decision. You want to use questions to help the prospect eradicate all options. I told you, for example, when I wanted to get this ring, when I got into the store, there were about 1,000 rings. The lady said, "Oh, sir, we have so many rings. Hope you don't mind. Can I walk you through, ask you a few questions so I can help you choose the best one? Would you want silver or gold?" I said, "Silver." Gold options eradicated. "Would you want it fat or thin?" I said, "I want it fat." Thin options eradicated. So my options are getting fewer. "Would you want it studded or plain?" I said, "I want it plain." Options fewer. "Would you want it any pattern on it or just plain?" I said, "Just a slight pattern." The first ring she got was my exact choice. So think of what you sell and think of how you can break your questions down in such a way that you can find what the real needs are and based on that, be able to communicate value. Now, when you convert inquiries to sales, please, you want to educate. The focus is on education. Remember, see, when you're on the phone with the prospects, if you're with the prospect face-to-face, you have the power of your body language because it is tone of voice 7%, words 7%, tone of voice 38%, body language 55% when you're face-to-face. But when you're on the phone, it is words 14%, tone of voice 76%, and body language just 10%. So you want to take control with your voice and make sure that you're able to help the prospect identify their needs. You're able to educate them. Because with the right tone of voice, they'll be able to give you the attention, you'll be able to educate them and qualify. So identify needs by asking questions, educate. Identify needs by asking questions, educate. I didn't even say communicate value yet. You've not even started talking about the product yet. Because you must educate first before you head to the value communication. Now, after you've identified needs and you're educating, don't forget to ask this question. The question around qualifying. Because sometimes when people call to make inquiries, they may not even be the ones who are going to pay. The person who is going to pay hasn't even heard from you. So when you identify the needs and you educate, that even lets the person know that you're an authority in your space. Even if he's going to go back to his boss to say anything, he'll be more comfortable knowing that, I spoke to this guy or this lady, was able to educate me, or this person knows what he or she is saying. Now, the moment you've identified needs, educated, make sure that you ask questions to know if there is anybody else in the picture. And how would that be? Something like, when it comes to purchases like this, can you walk me through how you normally would make a decision? Normally, for most of our clients, when they call us like this, they will normally have maybe 1 or 2 people they would want to talk to before they decide. For you, what's your process? So that we can know that we're on the same track. And you'll be amazed that there will be somebody else in the picture. And you can now ask, okay, when I'm done with this conversation, can I send a summary of what we said so far? So that based on that, I can get a meeting with you and the other party. So when you're done with the conversation, make sure that there's a summary. When you're done talking to this prospect, make sure there's a summary of the conversation, which you're going to send to them via email, so that based on that, you can be able to get another meeting to follow up and close, because there is another person in the picture. Now, I assume that the reason why you're trying to convert these inquiries to sales like this is because this purchase, the person can make it on the phone right away. If you know that what you sell, the person can pay for it on the phone right away. For example, if you sell properties, I would encourage you, move it to a physical meeting. This means when you identify the needs of the prospect, you educate, then you would go ask for a physical meeting where you can show them the options of what it is that you have to offer. If they're still insisting on the prices, give them the options from the highest to the lowest, so that they stay within a range. And with that, you can have another meeting with them, and based on that meeting, be able to tell them more information and make a buying decision with them. By the way, you know that when I say have another meeting, it could be a meeting on site based on an inspection. It could be a meeting in their office. It all depends on what you want to do at that point in time. My point is that I always encourage you people, move from the phone, move from a chat to the phone call to a physical meeting, or move from the phone call to a physical meeting. The only time you move from the phone call to a close is if this person you're speaking, if what you sell, the person can actually pay for it right there on the phone.